We live in a world that often celebrates perfection, control, and certainty. We're told to hide our doubts, mask our weaknesses, and project confidence at all times. But real power, real innovation and transformation comes from a place that few dare to enter: vulnerability. The willingness to be open, uncertain, and imperfect is not a weakness. It is the greatest strength. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we break free from the paralysis of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. This fear limits what we try, what we create, and ultimately what we become. Vulnerability gives us the courage to say, "I don't have all the answers," and that simple admission is the beginning of true growth. It opens the door to learning, collaboration, and breakthrough ideas. In moments of vulnerability, authenticity emerges. Authenticity fuels innovation because it strips away the need for pretense and allows genuine ideas to surface. When we're honest about where we are not where we wish to be, we create space to experiment, to fail, and to try again. This process is the lifeblood of creativity. It's the raw material for originality. Moreover, vulnerability is the foundation of meaningful connection. In leadership and teamwork, when people show their true selves, barriers dissolve, trust grows, empathy flourishes, and with that, collaboration becomes not just efficient, but transformative. No great achievement has ever been made in isolation. It's the shared vulnerability of a team, facing uncertainty together, that propels extraordinary results. Owning vulnerability also means facing our fears head-on. Fear can be immobilizing, but when we name it, when we bring it into the light, it loses its grip. The more openly we acknowledge our fears, the more power we reclaim. This openness fuels bold decision-making. It frees us to take risks that others might avoid, and those risks, taken with clarity and courage, are the building blocks of success. Finally, vulnerability connects us with purpose. When we stop hiding behind facades, we confront what truly drives us. That moment of clarity reveals not just what we do, but why we do it. Purpose born of vulnerability is powerful, it's honest, it's deeply motivating. It guides every action with meaning, helping us persevere when challenges arise and inspiring others to join us on the journey. To embrace vulnerability is to embrace our humanity in its fullest form. The uncertainty, the risk, the fear, and the profound beauty of being truly seen. It is through vulnerability that we unlock the greatest potential within ourselves and create the most lasting impact in the world. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. Society frequently equates it with weakness, fragility, or a lack of control. We are conditioned to believe that to be vulnerable is to expose ourselves to harm or failure. But this perspective misses a fundamental truth. Vulnerability is not the absence of strength, but its source. It is the willingness to expose one's authentic self, flaws, fears, and all, in the pursuit of connection, growth, and impact. This act of openness requires immense courage and becomes the foundation upon which true strength is built. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create space for honesty and self-awareness. It requires confronting difficult truths about your limitations and uncertainties, which is never easy. This honesty is the first step toward empowerment because it grounds you in reality. Pretending to have all the answers or to be invincible builds a fragile facade that eventually cracks under pressure. By contrast, vulnerability embraces imperfection as part of the human experience, making you more resilient and adaptable in the face of challenges. Strength built on vulnerability is deeper and more sustainable. It's not about pushing through pain by sheer force, but about acknowledging the pain and learning from it. It means showing up authentically even when the outcome is uncertain or when success is not guaranteed. This kind of strength inspires trust and respect because it signals that you are genuine. People are drawn to those who are real rather than those who project a flawless but ultimately unreachable ideal. In leadership, vulnerability becomes a strategic advantage. Leaders who show vulnerability invite openness and foster an environment where people feel safe to take risks, share ideas, and admit mistakes. This leads to higher levels of engagement and creativity within teams. When a leader admits uncertainty or failure, it humanizes them and dismantles the artificial barriers between authority and employees. The resulting culture is one of collaboration and continuous learning, rather than fear and compliance. On a personal level, embracing vulnerability strengthens relationships. Authentic connection depends on the ability to reveal your true self and accept others as they are. When you hide behind masks of perfection or invulnerability, relationships become transactional or superficial. Vulnerability invites empathy and deepens bonds because it signals that you are willing to be seen and understood fully. This creates trust, which is essential for any meaningful partnership, whether personal or professional. Moreover, vulnerability enhances creativity. Creative work is inherently risky. It requires putting something personal and uncertain into the world, knowing it may be criticized or rejected. Without vulnerability, the impulse to protect oneself often leads to playing it safe and producing uninspired work. But when you embrace vulnerability, you become willing to experiment, to fail, and to push boundaries. This openness to risk is what drives innovation and breakthroughs. Vulnerability also aligns with emotional intelligence. Recognizing and expressing your emotions honestly, whether fear, doubt, or excitement, is a sign of strength, not weakness. It allows for better self-regulation and more effective communication. When you understand your inner experience, you can make clearer decisions that align with your values and goals. It also makes you more attuned to others' emotions, enhancing empathy and social connection. In cultures or industries that prize toughness and stoicism, embracing vulnerability can feel countercultural and risky. But the most enduring success stories often come from those who break that mold. These individuals demonstrate that true power comes from authenticity, not armor. They show that courage is not the absence of fear or doubt, but the choice to act despite them. This kind of bravery sets new standards and inspires others to follow suit. Importantly, vulnerability does not mean oversharing or losing boundaries. It's a measured, intentional choice to be open in ways that foster trust and growth. It means discerning when and with whom to be vulnerable, ensuring that the risk of openness is met with respect and support. This balance is crucial for maintaining strength while building connection. Finally, embracing vulnerability shifts your relationship with failure and uncertainty. When you view vulnerability as a strength, failure becomes less threatening. You understand that failure is part of learning and growth, not a mark of personal deficiency. This mindset frees you from the paralysis of perfectionism and enables you to take bold steps forward. In essence, vulnerability transforms the narrative of strength from one of invulnerability and control to one of authenticity and courage. It redefines what it means to be strong by rooting it in honesty, connection, and the willingness to face uncertainty head-on. This foundation creates not only personal resilience but also inspires and elevates those around you, fostering environments where innovation and trust can thrive. Authenticity is the bedrock of innovation. In a world saturated with imitation and superficiality, true originality arises only when we bring our genuine selves to the creative process. Authenticity means being honest about what excites you, what you believe in, and where your true passions lie. It means shedding the masks of expectation or conformity and allowing your unique perspective to shape your ideas and actions. When authenticity guides innovation, the results are not just novel but deeply resonant and impactful. Innovation is not merely about generating new ideas. It's about creating solutions that matter, that solve real problems in meaningful ways. This level of relevance requires a deep connection to one's values and vision, which can only come from authenticity. When innovators are authentic, they bring not only their skills and knowledge, but also their personal insights and experiences. This personal investment creates work that feels alive, compelling, and differentiated from the crowd. Authenticity encourages risk-taking because it is rooted in a personal commitment rather than external validation. When you innovate from a place of authenticity, you are less concerned with fitting in or pleasing others and more focused on realizing a vision that matters to you. This freedom reduces fear of failure and opens the door to experimentation and bold choices. Without authenticity, innovation risks becoming derivative, safe, or disconnected from its potential impact. Moreover, authenticity invites originality because it rejects the pressure to conform to trends or popular opinion. The drive to imitate what has succeeded before limits creative breakthroughs. True innovation requires challenging norms and exploring uncharted territory. When innovators embrace their authentic ideas, even if they seem unconventional, they create opportunities for revolutionary progress. History shows that the most transformative innovations often come from individuals who stayed true to their unique vision despite skepticism or resistance. Authenticity also fosters trust and credibility, which are essential for innovation to take root and scale. When people perceive that you are genuine, they are more likely to support your ideas, collaborate with you, and invest in your vision. This trust builds strong networks and partnerships that accelerate innovation. Conversely, if innovation is perceived as inauthentic or purely opportunistic, it breeds skepticism and resistance, hindering progress. The creative process itself benefits from authenticity. It encourages openness and curiosity, allowing you to explore ideas without self-censorship or fear of judgment. When authenticity leads, you create a safe internal space where vulnerability is welcomed. This openness invites insights from unexpected sources and fosters creative thinking beyond conventional boundaries. It also helps you stay aligned with your core purpose, preventing burnout or loss of direction that can come from chasing trends or external approval. Authenticity in innovation also connects deeply with the end user or audience. When creators are authentic, their work resonates more strongly because it reflects genuine intent and passion. People are drawn to products, services, and ideas that tell an honest story and address real needs, not just superficial demands. This emotional connection creates loyalty and advocacy, which are critical for sustained success in any market. Innovation fueled by authenticity is not limited to individual creators, but extends to organizational culture. Companies that cultivate authenticity in their leadership and workforce create environments where diverse voices are heard and valued. This diversity of authentic perspectives sparks creativity and leads to richer, more innovative solutions. Inauthentic cultures, by contrast, stifle creativity by encouraging conformity and discouraging dissenting or unconventional ideas. Leadership plays a pivotal role in embedding authenticity as a driver of innovation. Leaders who model authentic behavior, sharing their values, admitting uncertainties, and encouraging open dialogue, set the tone for the entire organization. This modeling creates psychological safety, where employees feel empowered to take risks, share ideas, and challenge the status quo. The result is a vibrant ecosystem of innovation that thrives on genuine engagement rather than superficial compliance. Authenticity also means embracing imperfection as part of the creative journey. Innovation is rarely linear or flawless. It involves trial, error, and continuous refinement. When innovators accept and reveal their imperfections, they create a culture where experimentation is valued over perfection. This mindset accelerates learning and reduces fear, enabling faster iteration and breakthrough discoveries. The impact of authenticity extends beyond products or services to shape societal and cultural progress. Authentic innovation challenges entrenched paradigms and offers new ways of thinking about problems and possibilities. It inspires others to question assumptions and embrace their own unique contributions. In this way, authenticity becomes a catalyst for systemic change and long-term impact. Ultimately, authenticity fuels innovation by aligning creative efforts with what truly matters. It liberates individuals and organizations from the constraints of conformity, fear, and superficiality. It invites bold exploration rooted in personal conviction and meaningful connection. When innovation is born from authenticity, it not only creates new value, but also enriches the human experience in profound and lasting ways. A professional, paragraph style without introduction or conclusion. The courage to fail is one of the most misunderstood yet vital components of success. Failure is often seen as a setback or a definitive end, a signal to stop or to retreat. However, true progress and innovation are born from the willingness to face failure head-on, learn from it, and then move forward with renewed insight. Courage in this context means embracing uncertainty, stepping into the unknown, and accepting that failure is an inevitable part of any meaningful endeavor. It is this mindset that separates those who achieve transformative results from those who remain confined by fear. Failing is not a sign of incompetence or lack of ability. Rather, it is an essential part of the learning process. Every failure carries within it valuable information that can illuminate the path forward. When approached with courage, failure becomes a teacher rather than an obstacle. It forces us to reevaluate assumptions, identify flaws, and refine strategies. This iterative process, try, fail, learn, adapt, is fundamental to growth and innovation. Without the courage to fail, we deprive ourselves of this feedback loop and limit our potential for improvement. The fear of failure is powerful because it threatens our sense of identity and self-worth. It can trigger feelings of shame, embarrassment, or inadequacy. But the most courageous individuals understand that failure does not define who they are. It is merely an event or a moment in their journey. By separating failure from personal identity, they reduce the emotional weight and stigma associated with it. This emotional resilience allows them to confront failure with honesty and openness, extracting lessons without being overwhelmed by self-doubt. In professional and creative pursuits, the courage to fail encourages experimentation and risk-taking. Innovation requires stepping beyond the familiar and exploring untested ideas. If the fear of failure dominates, it leads to safe choices and incremental improvements at best. True breakthroughs demand boldness and a willingness to explore possibilities that may initially seem improbable or uncomfortable. The courage to fail transforms failure from a threat into an opportunity to discover new approaches and insights that might otherwise remain hidden. Organizations that cultivate a culture where failure is accepted and learned from foster an environment of psychological safety. In such cultures, employees are empowered to take risks, voice unconventional ideas, and challenge the status quo without fear of punishment or ridicule. This openness to failure fuels creativity and accelerates problem solving. It also enhances team cohesion, as members trust that their contributions will be valued even if the outcome is not immediately successful. Conversely, cultures that punish failure breed fear and stagnation, limiting innovation and growth. Learning from failure requires deliberate reflection and a growth mindset. It's not enough to simply experience failure. One must actively analyze what went wrong, why it happened, and what can be done differently next time. This process demands humility and curiosity rather than defensiveness or blame. Those with the courage to fail are willing to confront uncomfortable truths and take responsibility for their mistakes. They view failure as a temporary setback and an opportunity to deepen their understanding and improve their skills. The courage to fail also fosters persistence. It strengthens resolve to continue pursuing goals despite setbacks. When failure is reframed as part of the journey, it no longer signals defeat, but rather marks progress. Every failure is a stepping stone, bringing one closer to success. This persistence is critical because success rarely happens overnight. Most significant achievements are the result of sustained effort and repeated attempts, often in the face of multiple failures. Importantly, courage in failure is not reckless abandon. It is a calculated willingness to take informed risks. It involves balancing ambition with realistic assessment and optimism with practical learning. Courageous failure is intentional. It acknowledges the possibility of failure but proceeds with commitment and preparation. This mindset allows for strategic pivots rather than despair, enabling innovators to refine their course while maintaining momentum. The courage to fail is closely linked to humility. It requires admitting that we do not have all the answers and that our efforts might fall short. This humility is a strength because it opens the door to learning from others and to collaboration. When we accept that failure is part of the process, we become more receptive to feedback and more willing to seek help and advice. This openness enriches the problem-solving process and leads to more robust and well-rounded solutions. In the broader context of leadership, demonstrating the courage to fail sets a powerful example. Leaders who openly acknowledge their mistakes and share lessons learned create a culture where vulnerability and growth are normalized. This transparency builds trust and encourages teams to take initiative and innovate. It also reduces the stigma around failure, enabling organizations to evolve faster and more effectively. Ultimately, the courage to fail and learn is about embracing the full spectrum of experience on the path to excellence. It demands bravery, resilience, and a commitment to continuous improvement. By redefining failure not as an end but as a beginning, it unlocks potential, fosters innovation, and drives meaningful achievement. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities and turns setbacks into catalysts for success. Building deep human connections is essential for both personal fulfillment and professional success. At its core, connection is about trust, empathy, and authenticity, qualities that allow individuals to relate to one another beyond superficial interactions. When we invest in genuine relationships, we create bonds that foster collaboration, support, and shared purpose. These connections are not only emotionally enriching, but also serve as the foundation for high-functioning teams, effective leadership, and innovation. Trust is the cornerstone of any deep connection. Trust emerges when people believe that others are reliable, honest, and have their best interests at heart. It requires consistency in actions and words over time. Without trust, communication becomes guarded, collaboration suffers, and conflicts escalate. Establishing trust involves vulnerability, the willingness to be open about one's thoughts, feelings, and intentions. When leaders and team members demonstrate vulnerability, they signal that it is safe to be authentic and transparent, which accelerates the development of trust. Empathy is another critical element in building connections. Empathy involves understanding and sharing the feelings of others, seeing situations from their perspective, and responding with compassion. It moves beyond sympathy by engaging emotionally and cognitively with another person's experience. Empathy fosters deeper understanding and reduces misunderstandings and conflicts. It creates a sense of belonging and validation, which strengthens relationships and encourages open communication. Authenticity is the quality that makes connections meaningful. Authentic people show up as their true selves without masks or pretenses. They share not only their strengths, but also their vulnerabilities and imperfections. This authenticity invites others to do the same, creating an environment where genuine dialogue can flourish. Inauthentic interactions, by contrast, often lead to distrust, disconnection, and superficiality. Authenticity builds credibility and encourages mutual respect, which are essential for sustained relationships. In organizational contexts, building deep human connections enhances teamwork and productivity. Teams that trust each other and communicate with empathy and authenticity tend to be more cohesive and effective. They share information openly, coordinate efforts smoothly, and resolve conflicts constructively. This environment enables members to leverage diverse perspectives and talents, fostering creativity and innovation. When team members feel connected and valued, they are more engaged, motivated, and committed to shared goals. Leadership is profoundly shaped by the ability to build deep connections. Leaders who connect authentically with their teams inspire loyalty, trust, and discretionary effort. They listen actively, show empathy, and communicate transparently. These behaviors create psychological safety, a state where individuals feel safe to express ideas, take risks, and admit mistakes without fear of judgment or punishment. Psychological safety is crucial for learning and growth, especially in dynamic and complex environments. Building connections also has a ripple effect beyond immediate teams or organizations. It influences culture and community. When individuals foster authentic relationships, they contribute to a culture of respect, inclusion, and collaboration. This culture attracts and retains talent, drives engagement, and supports organizational resilience. On a broader scale, deep human connections foster social cohesion and collective well-being, which are vital for addressing complex societal challenges. Technology and remote work have introduced new challenges and opportunities for building connections. While digital tools enable communication across distances, they can also create barriers to authentic interaction. The absence of face cues and informal conversations can lead to misunderstandings and feelings of isolation. Overcoming these challenges requires intentional efforts to foster connection through active listening, empathy, and frequent, meaningful engagement. Leaders and teams must prioritize creating spaces, virtual or physical, where vulnerability and authenticity are encouraged. Communication skills are fundamental to building connections. Effective communication involves not only expressing oneself clearly, but also listening deeply. Listening with full attention and without judgment validates the speaker and builds trust. Asking thoughtful questions shows genuine interest and encourages dialogue. Nonverbal communication, such as body language, eye contact, and tone of voice, also plays a significant role in conveying empathy and authenticity. Conflict, when managed well, can strengthen connections rather than weaken them. Deep relationships are not devoid of disagreements. Rather, they provide a safe environment for honest dialogue and constructive conflict resolution. Addressing conflicts openly and respectfully leads to greater understanding, alignment, and trust. Avoiding or suppressing conflict, on the other hand, fosters resentment and disengagement. Emotional intelligence is closely linked to the ability to build deep connections. It encompasses self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Emotionally intelligent individuals navigate interpersonal dynamics skillfully, adapt to changing circumstances, and inspire others. Developing emotional intelligence enhances one's capacity to connect meaningfully and lead effectively. Building deep human connections also requires patience and intentionality. Relationships deepen over time through shared experiences, consistent behavior, and mutual support. It involves prioritizing time and attention, being present, and showing genuine care. Superficial or transactional interactions do not create the same level of trust or engagement. In diverse environments, building connections involves embracing differences and fostering inclusion. Valuing diverse perspectives enriches relationships and broadens understanding. Inclusion ensures that everyone feels respected and empowered to contribute fully. This creates a sense of belonging that strengthens connection and collaboration. Ultimately, deep human connections enrich our lives and work by fostering trust, empathy, and authenticity. They create the foundation for collaboration, innovation, and resilience. By investing in genuine relationships, we unlock collective potential and create environments where individuals and organizations thrive. Embracing uncertainty is one of the most challenging yet transformative mindsets a person or organization can cultivate. The natural human instinct is to seek certainty, control, and predictability. Comfort zones where risks are minimized and outcomes are foreseeable. However, the reality of life, innovation, and progress is that uncertainty is ever present. Rather than resisting it, embracing uncertainty opens the door to new possibilities and unexpected opportunities. It allows us to move forward with agility and creativity in a world that is constantly changing. Uncertainty often triggers fear and hesitation because it disrupts our sense of stability. It can feel like stepping into the unknown without a map or safety net. But this discomfort is the crucible for growth. When we lean into uncertainty, we stretch beyond what is familiar and challenge ourselves to adapt and learn. This willingness to confront ambiguity enables us to discover innovative solutions and fresh perspectives that rigid thinking would overlook. In essence, uncertainty is a fertile ground for creativity and transformation. In leadership and decision making, embracing uncertainty means resisting the urge for premature closure. Instead of demanding immediate answers or guaranteed outcomes, effective leaders tolerate ambiguity and encourage exploration. This approach fosters experimentation and learning, where ideas can be tested and refined over time. It also cultivates resilience, as teams prepare not only for expected scenarios, but also for unforeseen challenges. Leaders who model comfort with uncertainty create cultures that are more flexible, responsive, and innovative. The process of embracing uncertainty involves shifting one's mindset from a fixed outcome orientation to a growth and exploration orientation. Instead of seeing uncertainty as a threat, it becomes a source of potential. This shift encourages curiosity and openness to new information, which are critical for navigating complex problems. When we expect change and unpredictability, we become proactive in scanning the environment for emerging trends, risks, and opportunities. This proactive stance turns uncertainty from a paralyzing force into a strategic advantage. Embracing uncertainty also enhances decision-making under pressure. In many situations, waiting for complete information is not feasible. Leaders and individuals must make choices with incomplete data, knowing that conditions may evolve rapidly. Comfort with uncertainty allows for decisive action paired with flexibility, taking steps forward while remaining ready to pivot as new information emerges. This dynamic approach avoids paralysis by analysis and fosters continuous progress. Innovation thrives in uncertain environments because they disrupt established norms and open space for experimentation. When certainty dominates, innovation becomes constrained by rules, precedents, and risk aversion. Uncertainty frees innovators from these constraints, encouraging them to challenge assumptions and try unconventional ideas. This freedom to explore without guarantees is essential for breakthrough inventions and creative problem-solving. Psychologically, embracing uncertainty requires emotional resilience. It demands tolerance for ambiguity, the ability to manage anxiety, and a capacity to remain focused despite unknowns. Developing this resilience involves practices such as mindfulness, reflective thinking, and stress management. It also benefits from a supportive environment where risks are normalized and failure is seen as part of the journey rather than a catastrophe. This emotional strength enables individuals and organizations to navigate uncertainty with confidence and composure. In the context of career and personal growth, embracing uncertainty means being willing to step outside of established paths and comfort zones. It encourages lifelong learning, adaptability, and openness to change. Individuals who embrace uncertainty are more likely to seize unexpected opportunities, pivot when necessary, and reinvent themselves as circumstances evolve. This agility is increasingly valuable in today's fast-paced, complex world. Technology and globalization have accelerated the pace of change, making uncertainty a defining feature of modern life. Markets, industries, and societal norms shift rapidly, often in unpredictable ways. Organizations that cling to certainty and rigid plans risk obsolescence. Those that embrace uncertainty cultivate agility, enabling them to anticipate change and innovate continuously. This mindset supports strategic foresight, rapid adaptation, and sustained competitive advantage. Embracing uncertainty also fosters creativity by encouraging divergent thinking. When the future is open-ended, there is room to imagine multiple possibilities and solutions. This openness counters cognitive biases that favor familiar patterns and reinforces innovative thinking. It invites diverse perspectives and collaboration, enriching the pool of ideas and approaches. In this way, uncertainty becomes a catalyst for collective intelligence and breakthrough innovation. Risk management is inherently linked to embracing uncertainty. Rather than attempting to eliminate all risks, effective risk management acknowledges uncertainty and plans for a range of outcomes. It involves scenario planning, contingency preparation, and building adaptive capacity. This proactive stance does not avoid uncertainty, but embraces it strategically, allowing organizations to respond swiftly and effectively when change occurs. Finally, embracing uncertainty aligns with the broader human experience of impermanence and change. Recognizing that uncertainty is a natural and inevitable part of life helps us develop humility and acceptance. It encourages us to focus on what we can control: our attitudes, responses, and choices, rather than resisting the uncontrollable. This acceptance reduces stress and increases psychological well-being, enabling us to engage more fully with life's opportunities and challenges. By embracing uncertainty, we open ourselves to growth, innovation, and resilience. It transforms fear into curiosity, paralysis into action, and risk into possibility. This mindset is not only essential for navigating complexity, but also for unlocking the creativity and potential that drive meaningful progress.